Hello everyone, welcome to this new video, which is all about the Firebrand support, and I will show you and explain how to do it. 6 ways to carry your party as a Firebrand support, of course. The first one I would recommend is always giving enough Aegis to your party, because Aegis can really turn the fight, since you give this block, which might block the Revenant, for example, Hammer 3 or Hammer 5 like stun. So always give enough Aegis to your party. Don't use every charge, but the first 2. Never consume the third charge unless you are dying or you see your allies are dying and you need it. Because if the fight keeps going and you don't have the mantra, you need to cast it again, as you see, and it's super slow. So you should give Aegis always from range also, like when the commander asks for a ranged bomb from your Revenant, for your Necromancers and from the Elementalists, you should always give the Aegis to protect your party from the enemy bomb, because if your squad is in range to hit the enemy is in range to hit your squad too. Don't forget, this will apply both for this healing skill for Aegis and for the Mantra of Liberation. You see, when we cast this skill, we cast a con in front of us. You see, he gets Aegis because it is in front of us. The range of this con is 450 and the radius is 180. So you also give the Aegis to people around you and behind you of 180 range and 450 in front of you. So if you see, like from here, I give him Aegis. But if I stay here and turn around, you don't give Aegis. But if you stay here, which is inside the 180, you give Aegis. And this applies also for the Mantra of Liberation, which is another huge skill to use for 2 reasons, at least for 2 reasons, which we'll explain now. The second way to carry your party is always give pre-stab when the commander asks for it. The pre-stab basically means pre-stability, which means you need to give stability to your party before engaging and before entering the enemy range. And don't forget that the line of warding and many other CCs have 1200 range. So if your enemy is there, they should pop their pre-stab there, so they don't fall in this enemy line. And the pre-stab from this skill is just a stability stack, which is not a lot. If the enemy is coordinated, you will lose it very soon. So you might also give some stab from your auto attack on the F3 or your skill 5 on the F3. So always remember to give this pre-stab. If you see this is not enough, you should always use Stand Your Ground too. But Stand Your Ground is for the melee together with Hallowed Ground. Then the F2 and the F3 have 2 unique skills, which are both on the skill 5. On the F3, the skill 5 is Unbroken Lines, which give protection, stability and Aegis, and a unique buff, which is Unbroken Lines, which gives 200 toughness, which is a big boost to the tankiness of yourself and your party, and they should always be used as the first skill in a fight, because every damage which will come to your allies and you, which will be reduced by this additional toughness, which cannot be removed because it is a unique buff, it's not a boon. Then let's see on the F2, the skill 5 increases the heal effectiveness of your allies for 8 seconds, which is huge, by 20%, meaning everything which heals you and your allies will heal 20% more, which is not a very huge buff for the Firebrand itself, but for many other classes like the Healing Scrapper, which heals a lot. Like instead of healing for 10k, you can heal for 12k, which is a huge boost. 2k more is an additional hit, an additional big hit you can take, your party can take from the enemy. So always remember to use this as a first skill, and also converts 2 conditions to boons. And these are 2 unique buffs you should always be aware of, and use them. Use them and use them. There is no excuse. Then the fourth tip I would give you is don't forget to break stun. I would recommend to run the thick health bar for the party here, so you see your party with a bigger health bar and you always know where they are. As a firebrand you should always focus on your party, because if every firebrand does hit, every party is covered basically. So I would recommend using the mantra of liberation to break stun them. If you see your necromancer here, for example, which is stunned, you see him blocked there doing nothing, it's most likely or immobilized or stunned. So I would recommend break stunning instead of condi cleansing, because if you have scrappers or heal tempest or any other class like the spellbreaker, they can remove immobilize much easier than you, and they cannot break stun them. Only the firebrand can break stun the allies, unless we count the Eye of the Storm for elementalist, but elementalist is not that frequent, to be honest. So you see your necromancer here stunned, you go there, you break stun him, and he can move again and he can dodge every bomb he is inside in. So never forget to use this skill, and don't hesitate to use also the third charge if you really need to save your allies. It's the same concept as this other mantra. Never use the third charge unless you really need it, but if you need it, use it, because it's better to use it than lose the fight. Then the fifth tip will be, don't always consume every skill from your Tome skills, which means we open F3. We have skill 5, skill 4 for the resistance, which is another huge skill. You see, it pulses resistance, so your party can move freely from cripple, chilled, immobilized, and will not take damage from conditions. So you basically freeze the conditions while your scrapper and the other supports remove the conditions. Now let's say you have these 2 skills in cooldown. You pop maybe an skill 3 for the reflects, and then you see your party which need heals, but you see your charges and say, oh no, I have still 5 charges, I cannot heal them, I need to finish them, and you start pressing every skill randomly and your party is dead. So in these situations, if you see your party needs heals, you need to pop your F2 and you start healing. I would recommend going for skill 5, but it has a cast time, so if your party needs immediate heals, you start to heal instantly with skill 1, which is the biggest burst skill in front of you, it heals. And this one will heal only if you remove conditions, so it's not super relatable, but it's reliable, but still is a decent skill. The skill 3 applies some buffs, but it's not an immediate healing. The skill 4 is an immediate healing which pulses and is a combo filled water, but it's a smaller heal than this. So if your party needs immediate heals, I would start using the skill 1. Whatever Tome you have open in that moment, you close it and go on the F2 to heal, because your party needs the heals. Even if the scrapper is supposed to heal more than you, but it can happen that it's not enough, of course, or we would win every fight basically, no? Then the 6th tip I would give is always check the stability and the condition from your allies, of course. Then like you see here on the top, I don't have a party now, but you should always use view as a grid, so you see your party conditions, even if you are not supposed to cleanse the conditions. But still, if you see your party is inside an entangle and maybe your scrapper is dead or anything, you pop this, so the immobilize gets frozen by this skill. because of the resistance. Also, don't forget this skill is a break stun, but only for yourself. And then you can also use the Mantra of Lore to remove the conditions, but I would not recommend running this skill unless you really need many condi cleanses, because the scrappers can provide enough condi cleanses, and you should probably run the Signet of Mercy, which is basically a free revive. You see your ally dead there, or like going to go down, and you cannot save him from far. You can already start casting it because it has a slow cast time. Meanwhile they go down and you instant arrest them and they can run back to you. And also the passive can gives some concentration, which is nice, some more boon duration for your stability. And always, of course, as a Firebrand, it's your main role, provide and check if your party has stability. If your party has stability, you're fine. Don't overuse your skills. If your party already has 5 stacks of stability, even if you didn't press yours, maybe it's from some pugs running around or from another party's Firebrand. But don't over stability and don't over heal. If you see your party which is full HP, don't start F2 and press every fucking skill, because you will not have them when you need it. So always be reasonable on the skills you use. On Firebrand, this is your role. And of course, if your party has no stability, stand your ground, hallowed ground, which pulls the stability. I recommend hallowed ground, of course, when you bunker up in a position and you need to keep your party alive while your party does damage and kills the enemies. This is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you on the next video. Thank you.